This tax increase affects everyone. In this episode, I'm going to address the hidden tax increase that will dramatically affect every single American. Get ready, it's not what you think. Perhaps you've had a little bit of heartburn recently hearing about a lot of the tax proposals of the new Biden administration. A lot of these tax increases, politicians claim, will only affect the wealthy. Those individuals making over $400,000, which is actually incorrect. It's couples making over $400,000, individuals making over $200,000. And so sometimes people get confused. They think, well, golly, he's only going to tax people who make a lot of money. Well, there's a lot of hidden taxes or tax proposals that indirectly affect every single American. Now, yes, if he raises corporate taxes, I'm talking about President Biden, to 28%, that's actually a 33% increase from 21%. Corporations will have to pay $280,000 in tax on every million of profit instead of $210,000. That's $70,000 more, or 33% more. Most corporations say, you know what we're going to have to do? Lay off people. We're going to have to change to automation. We're going to have to increase the cost of goods and services. And so what does that do? It causes the prices to go up, the cost of living. That's called inflation. That's a hidden tax. I call it a hidden tax because they don't really label it as a tax increase. But if you have an increase in wage or you lose your job, but you go over to the gas pump and gasoline is now 50% more than it was a year ago. As of the recording of this episode, gasoline prices in America are $1 more than they were just 12 months ago. And so that's a 50% increase because gasoline was around $2 a gallon, $1.90, depending on what state you were in. Now it's gone up 50% and it's estimated to go up another 50% or double. That is serious inflation. So what good does it do to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour when people making $15 an hour now have to spend twice as much to get to work or to drive home from work or go anywhere? It's not just gas. It's food, it's prescriptions, it's medical costs. It goes through the roof. This is called inflation of the cost of living. So that's the hidden tax. And let me show you the impact of inflation on your purchasing power and how long money will last. Now, if this is intriguing you, I would invite you to share this video, post a comment, click like, but more important than anything, subscribe. It's free. I post an in-depth answer to a financial question almost on a daily basis. But stay with me to the end because I want to gift you a copy of my most recent best-selling book, which is flying out of the warehouse right now, and I want to gift it to you absolutely free. Now, I'm concerned about inflation because it actually hurts the poor, the lower income people the worst, because they can afford it the least. And the reason why it upsets me is because politicians oftentimes say, oh no, we're out for the little guy. Well, they're doing things that indirectly hurts the little guy when things cost more money. You look at some of the real estate because of the massive exodus of people leaving California to Texas. Real estate in Texas now has increased 20%. In my home state, people are having to offer $100,000 over offering price to get a house because the demand is so much greater than the supply. This is what happens, and people say, well, golly, what's going to happen? We are going to see the cost of living go through the roof. Now, one big factor is when the government prints money. What? Can't they just print more money? Sometimes I hear people ask that question. What happens when you print more and more money in the economy? That means the dollar gets devalued, and that's what causes inflation. And the government has been printing money like crazy. Why? Because the stimulus packages during the COVID pandemic and the stimulus packages, infrastructure bills, and things like that, those are costing American taxpayers triple to quadruple what the government brings in income. Let's just simplify this. If you made $100,000 a year and you spent $400,000, how long could you do that, making $100,000, spending $400,000 before what? You'd have to file bankruptcy. That's what's happening, and the government has been covering all that by printing money. And Janet Yellen, who is U.S. Treasury Secretary at the recording of this episode, is saying we can only print so much money or inflation's going to go through the roof, what they call hyperinflation. So she's telling the Biden administration, you've got to raise taxes here and there and everything because you're spending 4 times what you're bringing in. So this is one of the hidden taxes, is inflation. So what can you do about it? So folks, this is what I refer to as the tax and inflation power curve. So let's say that you're saving for your retirement and you've really disciplined yourself and you've saved $1 million. And let's say you're really savvy and you feel like you can earn 10%. Now, in actuality, do you know what most retirees earn on their IRAs or 401ks during retirement? 3.49% is the average. This is why the financial services industry established what is called the 4% rule. Because people who have money in the market and yet to be taxed IRAs and 401ks, they see the market go up and they go, okay, great. They look at the high water mark. And then all of a sudden when it takes a nosedive, which it does every 7 or 8 years on the average, they hold on, and it goes down. And when it drops 30 or 40% like it did in 2001 to 2003 or 2008, when they see the dip in the market, or like March of the year 2020 because of the pandemic, they panic. And when they see it drop 30%, they just sell. And then they wait till it comes back, and then they buy. They're selling low, buying high. And so you could probably average 9%, according to Dalbar, which studies investor behavior. But Dalbar says, no, the average American, especially retirees, only earn 3.5%. So they only want you to pull out 4% of your retirement nest egg a year, which will slowly deplete your money, but not before most people's LE. LE is life expectancy. That's called the 4% rule. That's pretty pathetic. That means on $1 million nest egg, they only want you to pull out $40,000. Well, if you go, well, I can earn 10%. Yeah, I have averaged 10% using what I call the laser fund. But if you earn 10%, you theoretically ought to be able to pull out $100,000 a year out of that million and not deplete principal, right? Well, you have to pay tax on that. Between federal and state tax in a 33% bracket, you pull out $100,000, you pay tax, you're only netting about $65,000 to $70,000. Now, maybe you can get by on that, but not for long. Because if you pull out $65,000 net after tax, and pretty soon the cost of living, prescriptions, gasoline, food goes up at the rate of just 7.2%, the cost of living will double in 10 years. I think we're going to see 10% or double-digit inflation, greater than 10. We've already seen it on gasoline, real estate, and so forth. At 10%, the cost of living doubles in 7.2 years. Okay, so here you are, you're retiring at age 60, 65, and in 7.2 years, at age 72, you now need to pull out $200,000 to net $140,000 or $50,000, which is what's required to buy what you used to buy for $65,000 or $70,000. Let's just simplify this. If you have to pull out twice as much money, it's because you need $200,000 to buy what $100,000 used to buy. It's going to happen in another 7.2 to 10 years. The cost of living doubles again. Now you need $400,000 a year to buy what $100,000 used to buy just 15 years earlier. You have the negative impact of taxes and inflation simultaneously. That's why I call inflation the hidden tax. So what's the solution? The answer is found in the Internal Revenue Code. Sections 72E, 7702, and 101A. You know, those sections of the code have been around in one form or another since 1913. This allows people to be able to accumulate their money tax-free inside of a maximum funded life insurance contract. They can access the money tax-free, and when they die, anything that's left in there can blossom and transfer income tax-free. Most people only would earn 2.5% or 3% in the old whole life policies before 1980. In 1980, E.F. Hutton, who was not an insurance company, they were a brokerage firm. They went, wait a minute, why don't we take the least amount of insurance the IRS will let us get away with and put in the most money as the IRS allows as fast as they allow, and we can use a maximum funded life insurance policy for living benefits. Long story short, for over 4.5 decades, I'm able to put money in and accumulate my money at net internal rates of return of 6, 7, 8, 9%. If I earn 10, I net 9. If I earn 11, I net 10. I never earned less than 11.75% on my universal life insurance contract from 1980 to 1990. When indexing came out in 1997, because interest rates came down, I was able to maintain rates of return averaging 9.6% over 25 years because I am able to participate when the market goes up, but not lose when the market goes down because my money's not in the market, but I am letting the insurance company use the interest on my money to finance or buy upside options. If the market crashes, I don't lose money. I may not make very much. The options expire worthless, but if the market goes up, they credit me 12%, some years 16%, 2017, 25%. Last year, there are many clients who own indexed universal life that were credited 61.33%. Because the market went down in March of 2020, and a year later, it was up 61.33%. People actually got credited that. I know a couple with indexed universal life that had about $850,000 a year ago, and now they have over $1,350,000 today because of that increase. That's the magic behind this. So if you want to outpace inflation, here's how you can do it, simply put. You link your returns to the things that inflate. I don't like inflation any more than you do, but it doesn't hurt me. It helps me. I come along for the ride. If inflation goes to 5, I'll earn 10, 10.5 or more. If inflation goes to 10, I earn 15. If it goes to 20, I earn 25 because I'm linking my returns to the things that inflate by using indexing. Now, folks, I don't have time in this episode to explain that. I have others on this channel if you will search for indexing. But let me show you how you can read and study and empower yourself to take advantage of this so inflation doesn't hurt you, it helps you. If you like to read and learn, listen and learn, watch and learn, here's what I want to do to help you. This 300-page most recent best-selling book is actually 2 books in one. This one is 200 pages containing all kinds of charts and graphs and explanations. If you're more of a right brain learner, you turn it over. You read this one. This is about 100 pages, and it contains all kinds of stories and examples of how to empower yourself financially. Now, this book retails for $20. You don't need to shell out $20. I want to gift you a copy. If you go to laserfund.com, laserfund.com, click below, you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling, and I'll pay for the book and fire out a copy to you. You will learn in here how you can outpace inflation and be immune from that hidden tax, the cost of living, inflation, because it's going to get bad, unfortunately, and I don't want you to get hurt. So claim your free copy of this book.